You can run.
Oh no!
Oh my gosh, you have something at once! Drop your flashlight! Drop your flashlight!
Malachi's dead!
What?
It's dead, it killed him!
You can hide.
Run! Oh, my god.
You can even fight.
Hey.
But even if you do,
He's in a cocoon! His body's there in a cocoon!
What, are you kidding, bro?
what are you fighting for? Check. Okay. I'm listening to Plague. Lethal Company is the surprise indie hit in Q4 of 2023, topping sales above the likes of AAA studio releases such as Modern Warfare 3. It's the perfect mix for the internet. It's a stylized, scary experience. Plus, it's lots of fun to watch others play in condensed clips or even hour-long streams, as well as played with your own friends. It's cheap, easy to grasp, but hard to master, with a cryptic story under its cel-shaded surface to boot. The perfect storm. It's no wonder how it got popular so fast, similarly to Among Us from a few years ago. Speaking of, if history repeats itself, I've got to get this video out soon before Lethal Company lobbies are filled with nothing but annoying small kids. Damn it, I hate kids! Luckily for myself, I have several friends with $10 and a hankering for a good time. So, on a whim, me and some buds decided to give it a shot, and by golly, we were not disappointed. The best way to describe the experience is to compare it to Phasmophobia, combined with Among Us, combined with Dumb Ways to Die, and also Lovecraft, and Finding Bigfoot, and Dark Souls. Rest assured, it's a fantastic experience that takes inspiration from the best sources, and it rolls it all into one great original experience. So, with all that out of the way, let's get into Sorry, Michael.
You're probably gonna shoot yourself editing this.
So, with all that out of the way, let's get into what makes this game so special. Lethal Company, the modern multiplayer masterpiece.
One, ignition. Burn away, Houston. Vector good. Bye-bye. That's right. Looks good, bud. Observation on flight. Roger. Stand by for splashdown.
Now, I want to go over what your very first round of this game is probably going to look like. You and some buds land on a little moon called Experimentation. It's raining cats and dogs, and as the four of you look for a place to go, one of you slowly begins to sink into the muddy sand created from the constant rain. But little does the group know, the one that sank was the lucky one. The remaining members make it to the entrance of an abandoned facility, and you spend a few minutes exploring while picking up random junk and scrap strewn about the place. During the period of peace, you note the well-designed proximity chat, with its unforgiving distance you must maintain to continue hearing your friends, causing you all to huddle together in the near pitch-black corridors. Most of you are now carrying so much that you can't hold anymore. You all attempt to navigate your way back to the entrance. This game is easy, you think. When do the monsters show up? Right as this singular neuron fires in your cranium, you stupid idiot moron. You are assaulted by an amalgamation of flesh in the shape of an unholy spider, similar to God's creation, but more akin to something straight from hell. It leaves you in critical condition and kills both of your remaining friends as you frantically run through the dark to escape. With the few remaining items that you're able to carry, you sprint through the dark and rainy terrain, making sure to avoid the quicksand that offed your first crewmate. As you finally make it back to the ship, a distant growling pierces your ears. It gives you a fright as you offload your loot, but you know you're safe on the ship. Welcome to Lethal Company.
But who knows what? That was not the UI my first game.
That's the beauty of it. Despite this game having just a few key pillars that make up every game, the most memorable factor is how each game will entirely differ from the last. In one match, you'll be screaming as a centipede wraps around your head and slowly kills you, and in another match, you'll be screaming because a giant bug launches at you and kills you. Slowly. I could genuinely go on for hours describing all the intricate details that makes this game so good, and so if you haven't, I highly recommend playing it. It's lots of fun. But what I want to focus on is the multiplayer aspect. I think multiplayer horror is a branch of gaming that is wildly underappreciated, both in production and reception. What I mean by this is not many are produced, and when they aren't played or received well, typically. For example, we have games like Dead by Daylight, Friday the 13th, and Texas Chainsaw, which are games that get most of their attention by tying in with popular franchises. And they make little attempt at being anything above subpar experiences. That's right, Dead by Daylight sucks! And then there are the more original games like Phasmophobia, Finding Bigfoot, Outlast Trials. I personally prefer titles like these because I enjoy AI-controlled enemies in a horror setting instead of player-controlled enemies. But even with their slightly better reception overall, they don't make as much money as far as I'm aware, and people typically watch others play them rather than play them themselves. Which is fine, horror games aren't everyone's thing, but there's just something about sharing the terror with others that turns screams into laughs every time without fail. And Lethal Company does this perfectly in my mind. With its mix of perfect proximity chat, the cast of insanely haunting creatures, and incredibly harsh lighting, it is the best modern margarita of Lovecraftian horror that I have seen in a long time in pop culture. Just you and some friends trapped on a desolate moon full of nothing but starving beasts that want you dead. All for the sake of meeting a quota. Now, I hear you guys already. Why? Why are we doing this? Why are these monsters coming to kill us? Why are we getting this scrap for money? And why, oh why, Lord above, amen, do we need to reach this stupid quota? Well, of course the obvious answer is purpose. Typically when you play a game, you are at all times looking for some sort of way to progress, or get things to happen. Whether it's getting a kill in Call of Duty, beating a level in Candy Crush, or reaching the max level in prison-based Tycoon in Roblox, always looking for a way to get that sweet, sweet dopamine hit. But if you're looking for more of a lore answer, stick around. Lethal Company is a great game on its own, but similarly to the OG Five Nights at Freddy's, the horror is heavily assisted by its cryptic lore. While some enemies you face are silly little bugs and critters, you are also forced to face eldritch spirit-like beasts and amalgamations of writhing bodies. But despite all of this, one of the most shocking things that you can come across takes place on the safest moon that you can land on. Typically, when you drop off your scrap on the moon of Gordion at the company building, you just set the scrap down, ring the bell, and the scrap is swiped away and you get your payday. But if you are impatient and spam the bell to get it to go faster, this will happen.
Wait, what? Whoa! Why did you do that?
So, this may bring a question to your little mind. What? Huh? What is the creature behind that service window? What is this scrap for? Come to think of it, you never interact with a company employee. Wait, what is this company? Come here, buddy, come here. I have a question for you. What's the name of this company again? I'll wait, but first, here's a hint. It's not called Lethal Company. That's right, it doesn't have a name. It's just called The Company. These themes are more thoroughly explored through the data logs that you can find scattered throughout the maps in the game, so real quick I'm going to sift through them to condense the lore for you now. These logs are written by a guy named Sigurd back in the year of our Lord 1968. This guy's crew consists of folks named Desmond, Richard, and Jess apart from himself. A few of the data logs just consist of Sigurd venting about his disdain for the job, although he does briefly mention the psychotic sounds that can be heard behind the counter in the company building. But as the logs progress, Sigurd comments on the strange circumstances that surround the employment for the company. The voice on the intercom is clearly fake and robotic, and the same goes for the over-the-phone interview that Sigurd apparently went through to get the employment. Further down the line, it seems that there was an accident that resulted in the death of one of Sigurd's crewmates, and the same automated voice was heard when he called the company to inform them. At this point, the entire remaining crew is starting to catch on to the strange circumstances of the company. In the last log, Sigurd is seemingly reaching his breaking point. Apparently, Desmond was able to trace the call when they reported the accident, and the signal was coming from the opposite side of the solar system. Even though Sigurd is sorta reaching his wit's end, it seems he's onto something when he states that he thinks that they are feeding some sort of monster that has been trapped by the company. Also, quick thank you to Ramboozle. They posted a video that really helped me find all the currently available tapes, which was really nice. Thank you, Ramboozle. I will say, the concepts in the lore of this game are definitely not original. They are heavily inspired, but that is far from a deterrent in my eyes. Let me explain. I feel like Lethal Company exemplifies a quality I think about a lot in games, whether it's on purpose or not. Typically when playing a video game, there's some sort of objective, something to get you to keep playing and interacting with the world. I personally like to think that there are two types of objectives that make us play games, those being internal and external. Internal beats are intentionally put into the game to represent progress. Think of completing a level in Mario, beating a boss in Dark Souls, or clicking one button in a visual novel. But then there's external progress, stuff like beating your own personal speedrunning record, trying to get a specific exploit, or just generally pushing a game to see what happens. And other than some purely cosmetic additions to your suit as of writing this video, there's pretty much no permanent progress in Lethal Company. You can go as far as you want, but there's no end. And if you miss the quota once, it's game over, man, back to square one. So there's almost no internal progress to be made. Well, what's with all the reviews on Steam where people have dozens or even hundreds of hours? I can assure you it's not external progress. This game has a speedrunning community, but not a massive one. So, what, people are just playing it for no reason? Yes, that's kind of the point. You see, at least where the story is now, the gameplay is mimicking the lore. The work that you're doing for the company is contributing to nothing. Nothing that we can see, by the way. The money that you make on your missions contributes to nothing but more tools to make you more efficient at more work. All that the players or employees are doing now is feeding whatever this beast is, and assuming that more updates will be rolling out in the future, eventually this containment that the company has it held in will most likely not hold it any longer. Right now our purpose is to feed this thing, and I think eventually it's going to be too big for the britches that the company has contained it in. Now our fate is to slowly feed and fuel a beast of unknowable power and intelligence. Maybe it's not contained at all. For all we know, the moon of Gordion is the monster. For now, we just have to sit and wait. But that leads to the question. Where?
I don't want to fire the gun yet. Okay, I'm out.
So what's next? How do we move forward? If Lethal Company is nothing but a monster we're slowly feeding, where do we go from here? Well, play the game. Feed the monster, fuel the beast, let it out, I want to see it! Sure, it may wreak havoc on the in-game world, but I think that the creature of Lethal Company deserves to be let loose. As I'm writing this, Lethal Company has just received its first big update after being released almost 2 months ago. This seems like a pretty normal update schedule by most standards, but looking at the creator's previous games, like Upturned and It Steals, they didn't release the first big update for either of those games for at least a year or so. This isn't a dig at the creator by any means, but it shows that this game is most likely getting more and getting it faster due to its popularity. And whether it's intentional or not, this reflects the story. By playing the game, by feeding the beast more, we are allowing it to grow, and fast. So, I believe we should continue to support Lethal Company by playing it, allowing the creature to grow, and allowing it to unleash any and whatever horrors are behind that wall. Outro. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, then I'd really appreciate if you can consider liking and subscribing. Pretty please, pretty please. Also, here are my channel members. They're somewhere on the screen if my editor remembered. Speaking of, thank you to IntrepidandBold, or Michael, for editing this video. He will credit himself somewhere. If he doesn't, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna end his life like with my bare hands. Anything else to add to the end? Thank you for watching. I love you. Thank you for watching. I don't know. I think that's good.